Hey, yes,
You did it.
she did it. Ah,
How are
right.
you doing?
This is great. Here we are. Very
So
exciting.
excited.
I know. Look, I even did some eyebrows for the occasion.
This is like superwoman transformation.
I know, right? I never ever have eyebrows, and I was like, oh, okay, today's the day.
You look amazing.
Thank
I
you.
just
Thank you.
from our little earlier experiment, complete, absolute transformation.
Yes. Just like went in the Superman cupboard, got changed. Woo.
Yeah.
Um, okay, should we like hang out for a little bit and see if anyone pops in? Um,
Okay.
and then yeah, just I think that just give it a couple of minutes and
Okay. That's a good idea.
yeah.
So,
So
what do you think? Shall we can I start with asking, whilst we haven't got anyone on, can I start with asking you some of the questions around just getting to know more about you, like
yeah, go for it. I mean, let's start now. There's nothing stopping us because this is a recording, and so it's gonna help either way. So um, I so what this live is about, basically, welcome everyone to this video, whether you're watching now or whether you're watching later. Me and Dionne met through my Conscious Female Creators Networking event. We were also sort of on a similar accelerator course. And then we've just stayed in touch since then, and Dionne's really helped me with my personal transformation journey, and she's amazing. She's got so much wisdom to share with you that I urge you to get a pen and paper for this live, because I think there's going to be some really interesting things. So the format's going to be we're basically interviewing each other about what we do and our skills and what we can give, and then also a little bit about our personal story. So yeah, Dionne, if you want to say anything or just go straight into your questions.
um yeah, I was like, obviously it would be nice for maybe give it a few minutes for people to attend, but
Mm-hmm.
just for me,
Mm.
um I you just within your personality there is a flame, there is a fire that I can just see that there is something in you that is just so like potent.
Mm.
And
You can make me cry.
I I would love to know, because I know that often we can sometimes feel reserved in certain ways, so we don't fully express everything. We don't share everything, and I know that there is something in you that is dying to be unleashed. So I would love to know, Emma, what is your superpower? If you are able to share that, I would love to know, what is your superpower?
Okay, what is my superpower? Um, I would say it's my intuition. I would say it's my like it's the unseen. I can walk into a room and I'll quite quickly sense the energetics of the room. So, like when I was doing the Conscious Female Creators events, I wouldn't really have that much of a plan because I'd need to first of all feel the dynamic, because sometimes if the collective energy was low, it needed to be a little bit soft. I needed to be a bit softer, or if there was a real buzz in the air and everyone was chatting, then I kind of needed to ramp it up. And I do that similar with my mentoring clients. I let them talk for quite a while and I'll tune in, and then I'll be able to almost shapeshift into the thing that's right for them at the time. And then the same with my energy healing as well. It like intuitively comes through. So Yeah. Is that a superpower? Can that be a superpower? I mean, I wish I could be invisible.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask that question because having gone to one of your events, I've been to a couple of your events, you can feel that energy when you as you're in the room. I've never actually been to any events where I've felt that actually when I've been in the environment, you can tell.
Hmm.
So
Interesting. That's interesting that you
definitely
could
something in
tell.
there. You can tell. Definitely. It's like there's something that you do that even like the scent.
Oh yeah, I've got it going
Time
now,
I've
the
been
incense.
even scent down to that how specific you are when it comes to these details. I've never been to an event that's that detailed in the way that it's set up.
Mm,
So I thought there is definitely something there that maybe we could hone in on further. And I'm really happy that there's more people join. So I can now begin to ask you a little bit more around what it is that you do. Obviously, you are a branding expert. And for those of us, myself included, on a business journey, um, I'm probably needing more understanding around branding and the importance of it. So, Emma, can you just explain for us what is the benefit of branding? Why do we need branding? What is the purpose? How does it serve us to hone in on our branding?
okay, big one. um, in like a perfect world, branding shouldn't have to exist. And people should be in these communities where they're naturally led to the person that's the oracle. They're naturally led to the person that's the holistic food coach, and they're naturally led. But in this wide world that we live in now, there's lots and lots of people who are doing lots and lots of unique offerings. So one of the main things is to say is there's always room for everyone, and your offering is going to be so different from anyone else's once you've gone in and decided what that is. So the branding is just about taking what it is that's your essence, the thing that you love to do the most in the world, and packaging it so other people can get that vibe, can get that essence, can get that feeling when they look at your brand. And I don't believe that a logo is really necessary, especially in the early stages of branding. You can go a really long way with just your name and some colors and a nice font, and some pictures that resonate with you. I think when once you're slightly more established, then definitely it's a really good time to spend more money with a graphic designer and get something that's really super slick. But there's so much I think that individuals can do these days to create their brand. And I like to think of a brand as a personality. So you and me are friends because we like each other's brand personalities. But first
Ah, so
and foremost,
good way of putting it.
first
Yeah.
and foremost, I am drawn to you as a person because on that day when I met you, I came over and gave you a big hug, and I was just like, oh, soul sister. There was something in that moment where I felt like our brains connected and we had some sort of spark. And that was like, I want to work with her, or I want to like do something with this lady. So,
Oh, that's so lovely. It is crazy how we met though, right?
yeah.
It's crazy how we connected. For those that are watching, we literally connected via WhatsApp. It was WhatsApp, wasn't it,
Yeah.
initially?
Oh, yeah. Originally, it was WhatsApp. Yeah, I get confused because there were so many different channels.
Because we were both in a WhatsApp group chat from the original business school we both were a part of, but we were a part of it at different times, but we were connected in the group. And then was it you that mentioned, yeah, I think you posted about the Conscious Creators group.
Yeah.
And I think I must have contacted you separately to say that I'm doing something similar.
Yes.
And then you invited me. That's what happened, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Or maybe I've
You
forgotten
miraculously
something, but
pop up.
you invited me down to do some, yes, you invited me down to be on the panel.
First, I just
That was
met
the
you though.
second time. The first time, that's right. I just was in attendance. But yeah, from there, I got the vibe, and the rest is history.
Mm. So,
So our brands.
so yeah, that is how can you as a business owner or brand bring your personality forwards and into the visualization of your brand? I think
Okay.
that was that the question.
Yeah. So I suppose it's the benefits of branding. Why do we need it?
Okay, why do we need it? Yeah, so like I was saying, so I was attracted to you because you had this shiny personality, right? And so if you've got this shiny brand that says something about you, then you're gonna
Mhm.
attract the little moths to the flame who are also like, oh,
Okay.
this is interesting. This person's speaking my language. And
Hmm.
the more authentic, the more honest you can get, the more layers of social conditioning that you can throw away, the more you're gonna get your ideal clients. And it doesn't have to be about a really nice logo or a really nice color palette or any of that design stuff. It's about
Hmm.
authenticity. I'll sit there and watch a really badly produced YouTube video because the
Hmm.
content is amazing, because that person is telling a story that's speaking directly to me, directly to my heart.
I see. Okay. So is it fair to say then, in that instance, that their brand has shone through the poor quality of the video?
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Their brand message, their brand voice, their brand vision.
Okay,
Mm.
okay, okay.
I mean, I'm not. Yeah, good videos are a good thing to have. They're not bad videos, but I just.
But anyone that doesn't have the budget shouldn't be put off because they are still able to. So anyone watching, don't be put off if you don't have the budget, just go for it. And you just mentioned something which I wanted to pick up on. You said throw away the social conditioning. Can you just say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so something that I've worked with you on is the all these stories that we tell ourselves that are linked to keeping us playing small, keeping us in our box, and keeping us with a small voice. And so not being confident to speak our truth in our brand, or not thinking that we've got enough qualifications in order to be a X, Y, or Z. So
Hmm.
that's in a way that's what I was sort of calling social conditioning. Maybe in your life somebody said to you, oh, you need this qualification to be this, or who are you to talk about that? And those are the kind of things that have really slowed me down, and they still slow me down. Of course, I've always got, there is a rhetoric just poking, going, yeah. But the more you can realize that is this this sort of negative rhetoric, and it's actually not your voice, the
Hmm.
bigger and better your brand is going to become, and the more aligned you will be with your ideal clients.
See me smiling, because this is my
This
thing.
is the thing. I know. I'm just like, am I
I'm not going to talk.
really?
Not going to say too much because I love helping people get over that part. But there's something else I wanted to ask you about branding, and that's also about, for you then as an expert, what mistakes do you see businesses making with their branding? And maybe might be easier if we just hone in on small businesses or startups. What mistakes do you see them making?
um Trying to copy other people. Guilty. I have done that. In my early stages, I was definitely always looking at what other people were posting and how other people were doing their sites, and trying to make myself fit into a mold that I kind of thought was needed.
Hmm.
So yeah, my advice would be to when you have that brand idea or you have that style idea, absolutely go for it. Keep consistent. So if you're going to use green, blue, and grey, use it across all of your channels and social media platforms, and those are your sort of key colors.
Guilty.
If you choose a font that you really like, stick to it and don't change it every time you do a post on Canva. That also is it's a really good way of confusing everyone. It's a really good way of people going, oh yeah, that's that, but then she's posting this, it could say exactly the same thing, but because it's in more of a scripty font, you kind of think it's more of a, I don't know, like a holistic wellness thing rather than like a business mindset. So there's brand consistency, brand style consistency is a good one. Where do I see other people going wrong? No diversity in their imagery. That's another big one. So people that are very like narrow-minded in that way. There's loads. not having a good call to action. So you want to go on someone's website and straight away you want to know where to call them. You want to know where to book a service, and everything has to be in a really simple, easy to navigate way. I definitely haven't got that right on my first couple of times when I've done a website, and I think on this last time I've just about nailed it. I've had a few people that in the last couple of weeks say, oh, your website's so easy to navigate and I know exactly what you do, and I'm like, it's only taken me like 10 years. But there is a little formula to that. So
okay, just for anyone watching that may not understand
what
terminology, what is a call to action?
Call to action, CTA, marketing terms. It is your what are you going to do at the end of this time that you've spent either with the person, on their website, on the Instagram. So let's say if you post something on Instagram like saying come to this live, at the end I would say I would remind them that it was at this time, and then they can watch it here or click here, go to the website, sign up. So it's a kind of like click here, sign up, save your place. Usually like little phrases to, they've read the information, they've processed the information, they're thinking about whether they're interested in the information, and then you can put a call to action about halfway down and say here, click here to do this, and then you can put it in at the end. That's kind of how I usually do it on my newsletters. I'll put in a couple of links in order for them to get to the place of booking. So and then once they're there, then they're a paying client and they're buying from you. So the call to actions are really important for revenue.
Key. They are key. And basically they're an instruction to explain to someone, how do you get to me? How can you buy from me? What do you need to do? What's the next step? Which I agree. I see people miss that part out a lot too. So thank you, Emma. I think that's a helpful question for a lot of startups, especially. What else? What got you started? What got you started in this particular area?
I worked in a small branding agency, and I came in as a creative producer, and I was doing bits of production, but they taught me graphic design whilst I was there on the job. And on the same side, I was also studying Reiki and learning to become a healer, and sort of starting to do my yoga teacher training and all of that side. So when I finished working at this agency, I was just for ages I was wanting to be able to fuse my spirituality with my branding, and finally did in the last couple of years. But I suppose the real reason that got me into it was I just want to make the world, I know this sounds really cheesy, but I want to make the world a better place. And in order to do that, we need to take the power away from the big brands, and we need to elevate the people who are on the ground. and elevate the people who have the real stories, who can work in their communities and yeah, do like that's and so that when I was working for the branding agency, I didn't really enjoy working for big brands, and same when I was working in film, and I do the jobs and it was fun and everything, but it didn't like fill my soul. And now when I'm working with smaller businesses, especially um, people who are on the same path as me to make the world a better place, then it fills me up so much. And yeah, if I can help swerve somebody from making a mistake that I've made in the past and impart my knowledge, then that makes me feel really good.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I really feel that from you. And actually, it's probably a really good time to ask, because you mentioned a few points that are really relevant to the conversations that have been had in the last few weeks
Mm.
on the topic of race and the injustices and the inequality and all the rest of it. So given all of this and given the conversations that are being had at the moment, what, if anything, have you taken away from it? And what would you love to see being the lasting result?
Hmm. I've taken away a great awakening, um, one that has been very, very, very needed. Um, it's it's opened everyone's eyes to something that that needed to be properly seen. The
Mhm.
platform that it has given to people has been just so amazing, and I'm here to listen, and I'm here to learn, and I'm here to do the work. I consider it spiritual work. Anti-racism work is spiritual work. It's needed from everyone, and it's all it's all part of this. It's all part of the great awakening that is happening now, and it's enabling people to have a voice who maybe haven't had a voice before. And that's
Mm,
really important for everyone. Like, no one can ever take anybody's voice away ever again. And we have to remember that as like a collective community. So what I hope to
mm,
see changing is the way that brands represent their like diversity, and also the way that the wellness industry, that needs to change, and we need to see more diversity there. I mean, there's so much that needs to change, but also it needs to start at a grassroots level. It needs to start changing within, um, and not with force either, not with this, oh, I must do this now. It's like, no, we must learn this, and we must not jump onto anything too quickly, say the wrong thing, cause the harm. So I think the work starts very much at home, and
mm.
with your family, like re-educating family, re-educating yourself, and re-educating your family, and then your wider community. Yeah.
I think what's been interesting for me, especially over the last couple of days, with the media reporting of the incidences and the violence that have happened over the weekend in London, if you just even notice the language difference, the way that the media uses language to shift perspectives. A lot of people may not even realize that, and this is how we condition people to see things in a certain way. When we have a perception of something, we believe it to be true, but the media is excellent at being able to shape that narrative for you,
Mm-hmm.
simply by using different language for different sets of people.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, that is so apparent with the far right. I can't remember the terminology they used for them, but it wasn't what they'd used for the protesters the week before.
Mm.
Very different. So if you're not aware of these things, if these things are not really like brought to your attention, you won't really notice, but they will slip through your subconscious
Hmm.
without you even. So these things need to be addressed, I think, also.
Oh, definitely.
How are we doing for time, Miss Emma, as well? Because I have this potential of going on and on and on.
So,
So how are we doing?
just do one more question, and then we'll swap it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What do I have? What else did I want to ask you? Let's talk more about branding, because I know there's a few businesses on that I've seen.
Yeah.
So if I ask around, um, okay, this is probably
Hey,
really
Gregor.
helpful. Hi, Gregor. At what point in a business's journey do they really need to start considering their branding needs?
Ooh, right at the beginning. So I've got a couple of people on my branding course at the moment who are working in full-time jobs, but they've got a passion project that they want to launch. They eventually want to move from corporate job to let's say yoga teaching and healing. And I urge people to do this, to do my brand alchemy journey right at the beginning, because you work out what your values are, you work out where your voice, and you work out what your vision is for making the world a better place. And so if you can absolutely just go for it and create a brand, and I'm by all means not saying don't do that, but if you kind of dial it in right at the beginning with a nice bit of copy, your voice, your vision, your values, and your and a simple logo, and it could just start with an Instagram page. People are going to go, oh yeah, I know what they do. That's that. That's a product that I want, or that's a person that I want to be friends with, because
Okay.
they're straight away speaking their truth. Whereas for me, I spent many years, I would send my website to people and they go, what do you do? So what is it that you do? Are you a
Yeah.
filmmaker or are you a healer? Like,
Mhm.
where can I book? So it's really the way that I help people is just from my tried and tested roots of just getting it wrong
Mhm.
loads and learning.
Yeah, I think that's something that we all need to do. There is people that tend to have a fear of failure, but there is no failure. We have to learn. And we can't do that
Mm,
without being willing to mess up, because we're going to at some point
yeah. Failure is
in
learning in
lots of different
disguise.
ways. Absolutely, because you're going to learn from that, and you need that lesson.
Yeah.
It's not something that we are necessarily born with, knowing exactly how to create what it is that we want.
Yeah, and don't you
Um,
think that failure comes from that innate need to be part of our tribe, to be part of our community? Because if we fail, then our source of food goes away and our source of community goes away, and then we die. I know that's quite deep,
mm,
but I
they say it all stems from a fear of death. At its core, our human psychology, or our ego personality, is afraid of death. So everything we're afraid of, at the core of that thing, is a fear of death, which is how our ego perceives everything,
mm.
which is damn annoying.
It's like shut up.
Exactly. It's
Yeah,
like, prevents people from doing a lot of things.
it does.
Um,
So I'm going to switch it
and you,
up now and turn the spotlight on you.
okay.
Yes. Okay. Right. I've got my questions here.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
mm. Okay. What drew you to this line of work in the first place? Or was that?
My line of work.
Is that? Oh no, that is questions for you. So I thought I was reading my own questions.
Drew me to do this line. Maybe it would be helpful if I talked about my line of work,
Yeah.
which is particularly transformational. I transform people's consciousness. At its essence, that's what I'm doing. I'm transforming a person's consciousness from A to point B or point D or point Z, wherever it is that they are intending on or trying to get to. My background is business banking. I do business coaching. And at the same time, I have a group for women that many of them have experienced patterns of dysfunctional or unhealthy relationships. And I also help those women to have amazing
Yeah.
relationships. So I've got my fingers in a couple of pies, but it's because I'm really passionate about helping people to move out of a state of dissatisfaction and just misery. A lot of people are very unsatisfied, unfulfilled, generally. And it doesn't need to be this way.
Mm.
And in this particular industry, I mean, to be fair, as I started as a coach, obviously I've done my coaching certificates, and I've coached people, I've coached hundreds of business owners in my lifetime in my role as a business banker in the bank and as a coach now. But also coaching women that have been through traumatic pasts. I've evolved as a coach. That's one thing I can say. I have evolved as a coach. So I do very little coaching these
Mm.
days. What would be considered, legitimate coaching? I do very little of that.
Okay.
So legitimate coaching is really it's non-advice. It's me questioning you and you coming up with your own answers. And I'm really just a sounding board for you, and I'm helping you to hear yourself, which is beautiful. It does have its benefits. I will not coaching for certain purposes, but I have found that people remain stuck long after the coaching is finished. They haven't really moved forward that
And
much.
this is with the classic coaching approach, right? Mm.
Classic coaching approach. So, and I've realized that people, they try different modalities, they try different, even coaches, they try meditations and this and that and therapies and all sorts of things. And I'm thinking there must be a simpler way of helping somebody to get to a result.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean from a mental health issue, because obviously there's certain therapies that are required in that area, but for those that have a particular goal that they're trying to achieve, or they have a sense of discomfort within that they're trying to remove, I don't believe that we have to have all of these modalities. If we knew the truth about ourselves, we wouldn't need to have all of these modalities. And I think it's the fear of the truth of who we are is why we have all these difficulties.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
And just the study of that and trying to understand that, for me, just self-mastery for me is something that I love. I want to master myself. And from that, I can help other people do the same. Because the self is the answer. The self already knows everything.
Yeah. It's just you've got to go
So that
around the
means
labyrinth to get the answers. So,
we just have to believe in this, in that it can support us in the ways that we would like. Unfortunately, we don't trust ourselves. So it's helping someone and helping again myself, because I'm helping myself do this, is to fully trust yourself that you can do and have and achieve anything you want to, if only you believe that was true.
whilst you're, this is like gold. So right now, how could you give a little tiny? I'm going off. I knew I'd go off piece. Can you give like a tiny nugget of advice about how can someone start trusting themselves in business or in life or in relationships? I know it's kind of a big topic, but
It's a massive topic. I'm going to try and give the shortest, simplest answer that I can. How can somebody begin to trust themselves? to trust yourself fully is probably one of the scariest things you're ever gonna do. It's gonna make you feel like you are going to die, literally. It's a sickening experience because it means you have to give up so much. You have to give up what you currently believe to be true. And if we do that, if we do that in little tiny pieces, it can feel manageable. I can cope with if I do it a tiny, tiny, tiny bit at a time. If I keep my belief in my powerlessness, just some of it, then I'll feel better. That's how the craziness of how we see things. But actually, we could in 1 minute, in one moment, just completely trust ourselves. But it would mean the giving up of the personality that we've been holding on to. The personality that we have that thinks, actually, I can't do this, and this is going to be too hard. And what if this happens? And what if that person over there says something? And what if my friend see me and say something? You know, all of those beliefs that we hold that we don't share with anybody, they're not really real. They're just in our head. And if only could just throw them in the dustbin, all of them, we could just throw them all away all at once. We would trust ourselves. There would be no reason not to, right?
Yeah.
There'd be nothing left to tell us anything differently. But we have a backstory, we have memories, and we have thoughts, and we have emotions, and they keep us stuck in not believing. So my work is to help people get rid and throw it all in the bin.
So have a session with
including
Dionne.
Yeah, because it's all lies.
Yeah.
It's all lies.
And then the media only perpetuate that as well. They help feed that fire.
I think we all do it because misery loves company. Misery loves company. And if you're on cloud nine, somebody's gonna want to pull you down. Because how dare you be on cloud nine when there's all these horrible things going on in the world? So you see, we are all individuated. We are all individuated parts of divinity, right? So each of us have the ability to own that about ourselves. But you're always going to be surrounded by others that don't support that or agree with that or believe in that. So it's for you to stand in that power and not give in to the collective misery.
Stand for sovereignty, yeah. And there's always
Yeah,
going
it's
to be
standing in
people
that
that
power.
don't like you. There's always going to be those people.
And that has to be okay with you. It has to be okay that people won't like you. It has to be okay that some people might really not like you. It has to be okay that some people will criticize you and say that everything you do is useless. That has to be okay with you. Otherwise, you won't be able to step into the version of yourself that is what you were supposed to be in the first place. All those fears of what other people think and say and do and may do and what could happen, you know, that will all stop you from stepping into that power. But if we can throw all of that in the bin and stop caring so much about what other people think, everything becomes so much easier.
Yeah.
It's easy.
It's easy. I mean, the session that we did where we sort of quietened my inner critic, which we worked out was not my rhetoric, it was my dad's rhetoric, which actually probably wasn't even his rhetoric, if you know what I mean. It was the way
definitely.
that and I was stopping myself from like fully coming out with my healing, channeling abilities because I was worried that it was too woo-woo and it was too like no one's going to take me seriously as a branding specialist or as a filmmaker if I add this to my repertoire. And this was kind of, no one's going to take you seriously, look at you, you know, you're off with the fairies. And this was what was going on. And after doing your session where we sort of we cut that energy, we really cut it. And like I said, I've had so much amazing, such an amazing response from that, just in my body. And now I'm still here with my parents, and he's kind of proud of what I'm doing. He thinks I'm a little bit like wild, but yeah, it's definitely, it was a story. It was a shitty story that I was telling myself. So we need to
Uh-huh.
stop doing that.
And that was just one session that we did. So you can see how powerful it is when we allow ourselves to break free from shackles.
Mm-hmm.
We don't necessarily realize our shackles.
Yeah.
We don't even realize that they have this power over us, which actually brings me back to my point. When we own that nobody else has any power over us, it's only us. When we can truly get that part, if we could only believe that was true, we would have no issues getting on with doing anything we wanted, any goal we wanted to achieve, anything we wanted, we could have it.
Mm.
Because we would no longer believe that there's something trying to stop us. And even if there is something trying to stop us, we would knock that obstacle out of the way with no qualms. You know, we wouldn't be held back by fear.
Yeah.
So that's me in a nutshell. I'm helping people to overcome these beliefs and thoughts that prevent them from being and doing.
Mm. Yeah. Well, you're doing amazing work, and it's very, very needed. So keep doing what you're doing.
You. Thank you.
Um,
I'm just so happy that it worked so well in one session. I like to hear when it doesn't need to be a whole. I've had people tell me they've spent years in therapy and they've got more out of one session than they've had years of therapy. And we just have to get honest with ourselves about what's really going on
yeah,
for us.
and I really like your sort of soft but direct manner.
Yes, I am rather.
I mean, I have a similar thing with my mentoring clients, and you're not out there to obviously upset anyone, and you're not doing that. But there's a way that you say things that just makes things click for people. I believe you're
Mm.
able to take a really big subject, repackage it, and go, here's the truth. And
Mm.
sometimes that's a truth that that person doesn't want to hear, because it's like, oh God, yeah, I've been doing that all of my life.
Yeah. But once they own that, as uncomfortable as it is, and absolutely, if someone tells you the truth, a truth you don't want to hear, it's like, oh, it's
Mm,
almost like you've been punched.
mm,
But that truth will set you free from something holding you back. So is it better for someone to cuddle you and make you feel good and make you feel like you're doing everything right and it's not your fault, but at the same time you're not getting the truth, so you can't actually do anything with all this softly cuddly, yes, you're great and fantastic, when actually the truth is, look, these are the things that you need to do and you're avoiding it because of ABCD. It's uncomfortable to hear, but then, like, wow, now I realize this is what I'm doing and this is what's been holding me back. I can actually get on with what I really wanted.
yeah.
How great is that?
Uh,
How amazing is that? I'm now free to just get on with it, and I can stop telling myself this story.
yeah.
Yay!
That's the place that I'm in now. It's the place I'm in. I am just like, fuck that old story. Like, that is not working. It's kept me playing small in my business, in my relationship. It's stopped me from traveling or taking bigger, better job opportunities because I'm worried about what my boyfriend might say or do. And no, we've got to just,
And I think for me, I think I was probably one of the worst in terms of never taking ownership for anything. There was a time in my life where I believed everybody should do things for me, and I couldn't understand why things weren't working out for me. It's not something I would ever actually have admitted, but deep down, I felt other people were responsible for how I feel. Other people were responsible for opportunities that I did or didn't get. I blamed people for my situation without taking any ownership for what I was doing in the situation, you know? And it's really, it can be comfortable to be in that position. That it was, I probably was a professional victim, I think maybe you might have called me.
I've done a bit of that.
It's nice to be there. Sometimes it feels comfortable. It's comforting. It's like we're in child mode. That's what I call it. I'm in child mode. Put my finger in and hope somebody comes and saves me. But as an adult, it's not realistic. And it was that switch I needed to make for my life to start working.
Yeah.
That nobody is coming to save me. Nobody's coming. So I need to sort myself out. And that I did. And of course it wasn't all roses and joy, but it was what I needed.
Yeah.
Because that's where I found my power. And actually there's nothing I actually can't do if I put my mind to it.
You're the most
And I don't need
powerful
anybody
person.
to do anything for me. I can do it all myself. Wow, I didn't even realize. That's beautiful. When you get to a point where, even though I would like other people to do things for me, I can do those things for me. And the beauty of that truth is that when you can do it for you, everybody starts doing it for you. Now everybody can help me. If there's nothing that I can't ask for that somebody won't be happy to do for me.
Because you've empowered
But
yourself.
I have to own that in myself. Yeah, beautiful. It's everything makes sense when you understand the energetics of why things aren't working for you.
Okay. I work in energy, so I'm just again segueing. Oh God, hate that word. Oh, branding word. Why? So why is working with energetics so important in our businesses now? And should everybody in every business, should we all be talking about energetics and frequency?
Yes.
Yes.
We do all need to talk about it. And I'm going to be really honest here. I've applied energetics to every area of my life. And for some reason, I don't know why I didn't apply it in my business. I'm going to say that it was because I'm from a banking background. I'm from a financial structuring background. So I suppose I used that framework when I moved over to start my own business. It made sense. It made logical sense to me to do that. But we know that logic isn't always the best way forward when it comes to making decisions, especially when we have a huge sabotaging part of ourselves that likes to, everything has to make sense. If it's not logically making sense, then I'm not doing it, or I don't see the point, rather than using my own intuition to know what I should do. And it's only very recently that I realized, Dionne, I'm not even using this work in my business. Why?
And the intuition is the sensor, isn't it, for the energies, for the frequency.
Absolutely.
That we need to be aligning with.
In tune with. What am I actually doing? Do I actually want to do this, or am I doing it because I think I should? Because this expert over here said this is what I need to do. But do I really want to do that? Is my heart in this? No. A lot of the time, not really. But I was doing it because this is the framework, this is the structure, this is what they say you should do. So logically it made sense, but it wasn't working for me. It hasn't been working for me. So it's me realizing this and shifting and using what I do with my clients on the actual money and the business side of things for myself, not just telling people this is how you need to do this, but applying it and implement it in every area of my business, not just in some part. That makes sense. You know, this sabotage part of us always wants things to make sense.
It always wants to know
And
how am I going, but how, what's the route to getting to the place where I want to be?
100%. I call that that's the sabotage inside of us humans. If we can't see the exact steps, we don't want to make the move.
Mm-hmm.
And we can hold ourselves back so much.
And how can people start to make that move?
How can they start to make that move? It goes back to that trust in yourself again, doesn't it? It really does go back to trust. It's going to be a sorry, I'm getting a phone call.
That's all right.
There's always going to be not knowing. There's always going to be an element of not knowing in everything to do in business. We put our products out there. We don't know if it's going to sell in the way that we would like. Once we're established and we have a systems running, then we may be able to forecast in an easier way. But initially, especially as we're just getting started or we're making changes to things, we don't always know that this is going to work out. So there is an element of trust that we need to have, of faith that we need to have, and alignment. And I know you probably can really share a lot more about alignment and what that means. But when I talk about alignment, is actually sitting inside myself and figuring out, do I actually believe that this is possible for me? Because if I don't, it's not going to sell. That's something that I've realized. A lot of the times when things haven't sold for me, it's because I wasn't 100% behind it.
Yeah, I've had that as well.
And it's realizing I need to align with everything that I do. Everything I do has to be a hell yeah, I really want to do this. This is like, yeah, this is going to be amazing. If I'm not feeling like that about whatever I put out there, I'm not going to sell it.
Yeah.
And that's been a hard journey to get.
Yeah, but it's a really good test. It's such a good test. I do that to myself now before something goes out, and I put out a podcast at the beginning of this whole lockdown process, and then I was not excited to do the next episode, but I was like, I must do it because everyone in my sort of industry has a podcast. And then I was just like, no, that is the wrong reason to do the podcast. Wait until you've got something important to say, have it bubbling out of you, go and create the podcast. And then what happened is it turned into this online branding course instead, because that was bubbling out of me and that was a hell yes. And that's what I was staying up late on my computer to do whilst everyone else was having fun. It's like got to be those things where you're like, this makes sense.
But can you see, it's always paying attention. We've always got this voice there telling us what we need to do, what we should do. You've got to do this because so and so. You've got to do this because of this. You've got to do this because of this. Why? When our intuition is always working, but we're not really listening to it because it doesn't really make sense. Logically, you've got to do this, and we're not really feeling it. But we feel like we have to. And again, what I realized when I was sitting down reflecting on this is, where am I owning my divinity? How am I saying that I have power if I feel like I have to do something? There's no divinity in have to.
No.
I decide whether something is going to work or not. And if I'm not 100% behind that thing, it's not going to work. It's either that or I shift my energy into being fully aligned with it.
Yeah. Taking away those.
If I'm not feeling it, then I can shift that to be fully behind that. But either or has to happen in order for it to work. Because I am the power that makes it work.
You are.
And I think that's what's really important. Another thing that I've discovered is that a lot of people are focusing on how to get this right, how to get my content right. How do I say the right thing for people to want to buy from me or want to listen to me? What can I do to make this result? When the truth is, this is the result. I am the result. You are the result. When you are fully behind something, when you can know that what you're doing is of high value,
And
worthwhile,
it's an expression of
powerful,
you.
it's
It's just an
exactly,
expression of
if you
your
can get that,
divinity. Yeah.
then everyone else will get it. If you can't get that, other people won't get that either.
Yeah.
It's all about ourselves.
Hey, we've
Yeah, that was a hard lesson to learn as well.
I'm still learning. I'm still learning. No one's got it perfect.
I've
We've got loads
the
more
volume's gone down on
questions.
my phone since
We've got lots of
that
questions, but I
conclusion.
think if anyone's still around and wants to ask a question, then Alpine Dreamer, hey, uh, can you
I'll,
explain some
can
techniques
you explain
you
some technique?
use? Maybe that can be for another live, and we can go deeper because I think
Yeah,
this is
that'll be great.
this is a good format for us. And yeah, I didn't get to ask all of the questions that I wanted to, and I'm sure
We'll
we could carry on.
definitely do another one of these, Emma. That would be really, really great. But a quick tip,
Hmm.
not really a technique, but always pay attention to that voice in your head and know it's not true. The voice in your head isn't really you. It's just another form. Just like we have forms outside of us, our thoughts are forms that are inside of us. They're like clouds. They come and they go. One minute they're there, one minute they're not there. But if we follow them around, we'll be completely confused. We can't we can't believe in every thought that we have. They say we have around 70,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are useless. If all we did was ignore everything that we think, we would have our superpower. If we just
Mm,
ignored every thought we have, all we need is a to-do list. If all we did was ignore every other thought other than what comes in on our to-do list, we would be flying.
I love that.
So it's not really a technique, but it is a great way of becoming present
Mm,
to the reality of life. It takes you out of thinking about the past and thinking about the future.
it's like I think of it as sometimes we need to run a defrag on our brain. You know, like computers get all clogged
Mm,
up with all the little bitty bits of files. So
yes, yes.
it's like sometimes you just in meditation or going for a run, however you take time out, make just be present with that feeling of I'm just gonna defrag my brain right now and let everything go that is pre-programmed and telling me to think this or telling me to do that, and then see how that feels afterwards. And that's
Mm,
what Dionne can do in a session for
yeah.
you.
It's like giving yourself, we all need an iOS upgrade
Yeah.
because our
Yeah.
software is faulty. We've got apps on us, we've got all these bugs and apps that we don't need. We need to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So it's just another way of figuring out how do I reset, factory reset button.
Hmm. Yes. Yes, please.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Emma. I've loved it. This has been great.
Yeah, it's been a dream. So
There's
easy.
nothing better than having a good natter.
Yeah, a good nut alive and inviting everyone to join in. So, thank you for
Hmm.
everyone joining. Thank you for those people that join afterwards. Dionne, do you want to share about your workshop quickly and your contact
Oh
details?
yes, I'm doing a workshop next week for anyone that's watching. It's designed for those who maybe are unhappy or dissatisfied in their relationships, um, have patterns of relationships that are unsatisfactory. So maybe you're not in one, but you want to get in one, but you're not sure because of the past situations that you found yourself in. So this is perfect for you if you want to change your relationship look. It's a 6 week program. I'm going to be doing sessions live. There will be a private Facebook group for all members to join.